always knows how to toy with humans by creating incomprehensible diseases. These strange syndromes not only challenge the limits of medicine, but also open up mysterious stories that we still haven't found accurate answers for to this day. What would happen if one day, your hands suddenly stopped obeying you? Or what if you suddenly feared sunlight and craved fresh blood? Let's explore the world. The first syndrome we want to mention is alien hand syndrome. One of the strangest phenomena ever recorded by science. Unlike the terrifying pandemics that have appeared throughout history, this syndrome doesn't cause a series of tragic deaths for humanity. But it is on the list of the most bizarre diseases that researchers cannot explain. Even its name alone makes people ponder with a headache. So what is alien hand syndrome? We ourselves are the masters of our bodies, and we can control them. Alien hand syndrome. To understand better, let's search your memory. They've been in a situation where you couldn't. You spend time looking for your keys everywhere. Not in your bag, on a table, or in a drawer. And surprisingly, you're holding them in your hand. This syndrome works similarly but is much more frightening. Imagine, on a quiet and relaxing weekend evening, you're lying in bed listening to music with your adorable cat. Suddenly, your right hand rises and squeezes your neck. The feeling of suffocation gradually envelops your body, just like a scene from a horror movie you've seen. But the problem is that this nightmare is entirely caused by your own right hand. It seems to be controlled by a separate nervous system and performs terrifying actions. At this moment, you have to use your last bit of strength to remove your right hand from your neck. A pleasant evening ends in fear. And of course, the scenarios above are what scientists call alien hand syndrome. According to scientists, this is a rare neurological disorder. In it, an arm completely loses control and the patient is unaware of their actions. Those affected feel that the arm is not part of their body, meaning the brain no longer controls the action. This arm seems to operate independently of the owner. So who is controlling it? Although this disease doesn't harm health, it is very troublesome. Patients often face psychological issues, negatively affecting their lives. For example, the right hand just puts a piece of apple in the mouth, and the left hand immediately tries to take it out. Or worse, the patient might hit or slap themselves. This syndrome was first discovered in 1909, and since then only about 40 to 50 people have been diagnosed with it. Many believe there are more cases, but they might be misdiagnosed as symptoms of mental disorders. According to scientists, most people with this syndrome have brain damage. To better understand this strange syndrome, we need to understand the functions of the brain. The structure of the human brain has not yet been fully explored, but basically, it is divided into two hemispheres with many different functions. Each brain hemisphere consists of 4 different lobes, coordinating to create, control, and regulate human speech, actions, and emotions. The frontal lobe is responsible for body movements like speech or movement, and cognitive functions like planning and organizing.
If a patient has alien hand syndrome, it may be due to damage in this frontal lobe area. The brain operates like a supercomputer with the intricate connection of nerve cells. It processes information received from the senses and sends messages back to the organs.
The complex nervous system connects the human brain with the rest of the body parts. The brain of a normal person receives information from the organs through the frontal lobe.
This area then sends signals to the motor nerve pathways, which are responsible for controlling all the body's movements.
The frontal lobe commands the nerves to enable you to perform actions easily.
What helps transmit these signals is the corpus callosum nerve. This process might seem to take a lot of time, but in reality, it only happens within a few seconds.
That is the activity of a normal brain.
But for those with alien hand syndrome, it's different. Their brains may have suffered damage from diseases like stroke or epilepsy, making them less flexible or even encountering disruptions in data processing. The disconnection between nerves leads to loss of control of the hand moving on its own, which the patient cannot stop. It must be said that although this disease does not threaten life, it causes the victim much mental distress.
And the following moment is proof of that.
Mrs. Karen Byrne was a patient who had to live with epilepsy for a long period of 17 years. The disease she had is a disorder of the central nervous system that alters brain activities, causing seizures, unusual sensations, and sometimes brief loss of consciousness. The first episode occurred when she was 10 years old. As Karen grew up, sudden seizures appeared more frequently, completely disrupting her life. The woman decided to undergo surgery to end the torment caused by the disease.
During treatment, doctors would surgically remove a small part of the brain to eliminate abnormal signals causing seizures.
For severe epilepsy cases like Karen's, she had to undergo corpus callosotomy, removing the white matter in the brain that connects the two hemispheres, allowing the right hemisphere to know what the left is doing and vice versa.
Normally, the left hemisphere is stronger and determines all the body's actions. Most previous epilepsy treatments had some abnormalities after surgery.
But this woman seemed to be an exception. Right after the surgery, she could sit up, look around the room, and talk to the doctors checking on her. The epilepsy seemed to have disappeared.
Just when everything seemed fine, a doctor suddenly noticed Karen performing a series of strange actions.
Her left hand was unbuttoning her clothes during the conversation, as if manipulated by someone. The problem here is that Karen knew she was undressing herself and felt extremely embarrassed, but she couldn't control her left hand.
Even when her right hand buttoned up her clothes, the left hand, as if possessed, repeated the action again.
This was strange, and the doctors immediately checked the situation and understood that something had gone wrong in the recent surgery. S' left hand seemed like an independent entity, not under the brain. It seemed as if a battle for control over the two hands was happening in the patient's brain at that moment. The doctors diagnosed that cutting the corpus callosum had ended the epilepsy but caused a side effect, disconnecting Karen's brain hemispheres, leading to bizarre behaviors. And sadly, they could do nothing about her case. In the following years, the disobedient left hand continuously caused her many troubles. When Karen smoked with her right hand, the left hand would try to put out the cigarette. Or when she swore, the left hand would immediately slap her. The life of the 55-year-old woman became increasingly difficult. Once again, she had to seek help from doctors. During monitoring, Karen was diagnosed that her left hand was beyond her control. Finally, after much analysis, scientists concluded that Karen had alien hand syndrome. From then on, doctors couldn't find a cure for this strange condition, as medical and scientific advancements were not advanced enough to decode the mysterious human brain. Therefore, instead of enduring the torment of epilepsy, Karen was forced to live with this bizarre condition for life. And not only alien hand syndrome,
Macedon syndrome is also a strange condition that has challenged the understanding of medical researchers for many years due to its mystery.
Mentioning Macedon, we might immediately think of a mysterious creature, always lurking in the darkness of ancient mythological stories. U-oriented story, 22 ASL story. Bunker, lyrics, provided by Gene Goodmarcus. Gate to ODC doc film The God D Cut. Program Jun Y Winters on the lay in Hiswal Bu Itzer Elamon Kong Trin Racing Official. And it only exists in the imaginary world. Because even the author Bram Stoker admitted, his character was created based on a real historical figure. Vlad T. Best temporarily. Many believe that there are indeed creatures like humans hiding in the shadows and drinking fresh blood to sustain their life and youthful appearance.
And there is a disease that can make such a seemingly legendary creature
appear in reality.
Specifically Macedon syndrome. In fact, this is a rare condition that turns a completely normal person becoming a creature that fears sunlight or even craves fresh blood. Scientific evidence might help us clearly distinguish the boundary between legend and reality.
And the modern perspective of advanced knowledge has shown the connection between the blood-sucking creature named vampire and a disease called porphyria. It is a rare genetic disorder symptom caused by disruptions in the metabolism of bright red pigment when ingested into the body. Scientists spend a lot of time and effort to find the link between porphyria
and the origin of vampires from the middle of the last century.
But at that time, the world viewed that blood-sucking creature through the lens of legend and imagination. So realistic research didn't receive much attention.
One of the pathologies of vampires is porphyrin metabolic disorder. This rare disease arises from an imbalance in heme production, a pigment containing iron in the blood. People with porphyria also have symptoms similar to vampires in folklore. Vampires are very sensitive to sunlight.
Their urine ranges from light red to purple.
That mysterious creature would possess sharp fangs to suck fresh blood, and they are particularly averse to garlic.
People with porphyria also have nearly similar symptoms. They almost have to live in darkness their entire lives like vampires because their skin will become irritated, even blistered under sunlight.
They can only go out or be active in places without sunlight.
In ancient times, some sources claimed that this disease was treated by having patients drink fresh blood to correct the imbalance in the body. And this made the legend of vampires appear clearer than ever. Some people often have red mouths and teeth due to unstable pigment production.
Porphyria is hereditary, so historically, patients were often concentrated in certain areas. In a population of 200,000 people, there is one person with porphyria.
If the father has the disease, his son has a 25% risk of inheriting it. Like most genetic-related diseases, children born to closely related couples have a high risk of this type of disease, especially in families with royal bloodlines. The second cause of vampire pathology is catalepsy, a combination of epilepsy, schizophrenia, and other diseases affecting the central nervous system. When a patient has an attack, their entire body stiffens, heart rate and breathing gradually weaken. At this point, they are no different from a corpse. This sometimes leads outsiders to mistakenly believe that catalepsy patients in a seizure are dead. Today, medicine has the understanding and means to check if someone is truly alive or dead. However, in ancient times, we relied only on external phenomena to judge life or death, which is why catalepsy patients were often buried alive by mistake. The catalepsy attack phase can last for many hours or days, enough time to conduct a funeral. Therefore, when patients wake up, they are easily mistaken for vampires with eternal life. Clearly, the vampire syndrome is one of humanity's frightening diseases. When the condition becomes severe, patients face hormonal disorders, leading to thinning hands and feet, elongation and curling, and hair growth all over the body. Additionally, the skin around the lips and gums becomes thin and shrinks, making the teeth protrude like fangs.
Because the skin and gums are damaged like that, patients are also prone to bleeding and mouth. This easily reminds us of the image of vampires sucking blood in scary stories. In real life, the World of White Records documented the first vampire story in the 1940s. The perpetrator, Adol Heath, 29 years old, killed young girls and drank their blood to satisfy a bizarre fetish.
The most recent recorded case of patients with this strange syndrome is the Simmons and George Gould brothers. Just hours after the English child was born, her mother noticed something strange. Simmons' body temperature dropped suddenly, and nurses had to keep the baby warm.
Then, blisters resembling sunburn appeared on the baby's arms and near the eyes.
At 4 months old, Simmons nearly died. His body temperature suddenly rose due to inability to sweat, causing his parents great panic.
As time passed, Simmons developed increasingly unlike a normal person. The baby didn't learn to crawl even at 6 months old. Doctors warned that the family's next child could also have this syndrome.
And that became a reality.
Now, the Simmons and George brothers often have to stay indoors. If they go out, the two boys must use sunscreen and wear hats. Their appearance, identical to vampires, makes the two brothers quite strange in people's eyes. At first glance, you might think they are no different from real vampires,
with pale skin and long, sharp fangs.
Fortunately, this disease does not significantly affect the lives of the two boys.
Perhaps vampires only exist in our psychological fears, not as real creatures. In reality, patients with this syndrome are truly pitiful.
They not only endure the pain of illness, but are also feared and shunned by those around them.
But it is encouraging that advances in science and medicine have somewhat alleviated the suffering of those with vampire syndrome. Both mentioned syndromes make us reflect on the boundary between body and mind. When uncontrollable behaviors become a part of life. Although they are rare syndromes with low incidence and mortality rates not as high as historical pandemics, they still haunt patients. Perhaps one day, the continuous progress of science and medicine will help humans find cures for these strange diseases. The story of strange syndromes is not over yet. Certainly, future discoveries will change our understanding of the mysteries of the human body. Subscribe to the Dark Truth Files channel to watch the latest videos.